should be doing that.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Can you hear me? Can you hear me today? Why did I sound like that? I'm testing out the mic. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Medicare Space live show every Friday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And we are missing... That is not Sylvia right there. That's actually Adriana. If Sylvia looks a little different today, it's actually Adriana. Sylvia's not going to be with us today. She has business to be had, I guess you can say. So the customer is always most important. But we are here to stay consistent. Good morning. Good morning. Let's see. Everything. Great. Thank you so much. Good morning. Thank you for joining in, everybody. Thank you so much for listening in. If you're listening in live, awesome. We encourage you to engage with us live. Ask us your questions. Ask us anything that you want. We do.
Well, not anything.
Yeah. Well, not anything. And I'm sorry. I'm so rude
then you'll
today.
have to answer.
Tell everybody who you are.
Adriana
Rodriguez. Adriana Rodriguez, always welcoming as our wonderful host, our second host, third host, co-host. And Sylvia's not going to be here today. So, it's going to be a little bit more PG today rather than PG-13, right? I would think so.
I think I'm the one that's PG-13.
Adriana, I don't know. She's on the camera. She's about PG, off the camera.
I'm like a rated R.
She's like a rated R negative, like a negative rated R. There needs to be
like a TVMA.
I hope you guys are doing wonderful this morning. Thank you so much for joining us live every morning, Friday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. These are going to be, of course, if you missed the show or you catch us late in the show, you can always catch us on YouTube. Be sure to hit that subscribe button wherever it is on the bottom. That allows you to see when we go live, so that way you catch us every morning. Get a good start to your weekend, right?
Yes.
Get a good start to your weekend. We laugh, we cry, we talk about a little bit about Medicare, a little bit about insurance, but most of all, we talk about everything else, right? Resources. Sometimes we get into mindset. We go all over the place, but the main thing is getting you information that's going to be valuable. And sometimes we might make you laugh a little bit, right?
Yes, make you laugh a lot.
So, Adriana, how was your week so far this week?
It was good. It was, it's my first AP.
Uh-huh.
So it was weird because I was like, this is it. This is the end. What do I do? No, I mean, we're still helping people. We're still getting calls, but it's just it was just slowed down.
Yeah.
Because people had already made their decisions and
it's the holidays are coming up. Normally it gets really, really busy the last 2 weeks of annual enrollment for Medicare. Just by the way, for those of you that are not on Medicare yet, annual enrollment for Medicare ended December 7th at 11:59 p.m.
Yes.
And now the ACA enrollment is still going on. So if you are under 65, I know I'm getting a lot of text message. Is it too late? Is it too late to enroll? Did I miss it? I thought you said the 15th. Because people see our Facebook and our YouTube. Well, we're talking specifically about the annual enrollment pertaining to Medicare, not ACA. So with the ACA plans, formerly known as Obamacare or whatever you want to call it, ACA plans for people that are under 65, not on Medicare, that ends. Well, it kind of ends on December 15th for a 1/1 effective date, but then they've extended that to January 15th as well for a February 1st effective.
Was it always like that, or did they just start doing that?
No, they just did that recently. It usually ends always on December 15th. But I think with everything that happened with COVID and a lot of people losing jobs and all of that, just a lot going on, I think they went ahead and extended it because they had extended what's called a special election the whole year, but they went ahead and extended it through 2022. So that's allowing more people to get on the insurance for those procrastinators. Actually, you know what? I kind of like the idea to keep it like that.
Like to have it extended?
Yeah, to have it extended until January 15th. of all the time, because I just feel like there's too much going on in December.
Well, they shouldn't lump it in with Medicare.
Yeah.
It confuses people.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's just the way people are so used to doing their benefits at a certain time. So it's like, let's just lump it in there. And not everybody's in the Medicare mindset. So it's like, okay, yeah, this is how we roll. This is what
I
happened.
am.
Yeah, you're in the Medicare mindset.
That's why I asked you about ACA, because I don't do that many ACA.
Yeah. So, and we do help with it. We do have agents. We in our office, we do help with it. You may also be talking to me or Adriana, but our primary focus, because we've been doing Medicare for so long, our primary focus is Medicare. So a lot of people tend to call us about Medicare, but as a byproduct, we still get people calling us about their health insurance, which I've been doing health insurance since 2005. So I do know quite a bit about health insurance in general, but
you did group insurance too, right?
Did everything under the sun when it comes to health insurance.
Yeah.
I think I've done everything. I actually worked with HSA's health savings accounts before, like they were very, 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 very popular. So I had exposure to a lot of these products that are like they sound new, but they're not. They've been around for a very long time. But yeah, so right now we are still in that time. So it's not too late to get your answers covered. And a lot of times people, especially with the ACA plans, a lot of times people think, and don't get me wrong, there's times where it is very, very expensive. So don't get me wrong there. But there's times where people qualified for tax subsidies on the ACA side and they didn't know. So, it just depends on it all depends on your household. It all depends on your tax return and your income. So don't ever think you may not qualify to get those tax credits. Just be aware that, if you don't qualify, it can get a little pricey.
Yeah.
But what do you do? It's kind of and we hate to be the bearer of bad news, right? Have you had to be the bearer of bad news at some point?
Yes.
Many times.
I think especially with ACA.
Yeah. And it has its positives because there's no, what do you say? There's no pre-existing conditions really. If you can come in with health issues, there's no underwriting involved, specifically with the ACA plans. But it is because of that. Right. Naturally, because of that, you're just taking on everybody, that the rates can go up if you're not within an income threshold. So if you're not in that sweet spot where you can get a plan for $0 or $30 a month and you fall over that income threshold, well, it can be pretty pricey. It could be in the 500, 600, 700, depending on your age. Someone our age, maybe $450 if we didn't get tax credits.
Yeah, it's well, it's like we talked about the other day. You're like, okay, well, this is what's going to be if you don't have it, and this is what's going to be if you have it. So you have to make a decision.
Yeah, it's A or B, and easier said than done, because sometimes the insurance is more than a very luxury car payment, but then it's like luxury car payment or
health insurance.
And most people are going to go with the luxury car payment,
which is crazy, right? Because we talked about this yesterday we had a training with the staff, and if people cared as much as they do about their body, then they did everything else, like life insurance, right? We talked about that yesterday. It's crazy.
Well, it's because you can't feel it. You can't touch it. It only pays out when something happens. And chances are, if something happens, it's not very life insurance. You won't even know it happened because you're already dead. It's like, oh, well, I don't get to, my family gets rewarded. And that honestly, when we were sitting down doing our meeting yesterday, we were having everybody think about, okay, if you have everything, you have the car you want, you have the house you want, you have everything,
the white picket fence,
everything, you have the marriage you want, you're fast forward into having everything you want, then what? Right? You have the watches, you have the house, you have the luxury car, you have money in the bank, you have your investments, you have you're at a place where you're everything is perfect. Then what? So then it starts getting you to think outside of just you and okay, how can I serve more? How can it be better? How can I do more? But then at the end of the day, most people will start thinking like that. So the majority of people, once they've already reached their like potential, like, or not full potential,
they
but
feel like they've plateaued.
Like they already have everything they want. What's the next thing that you think of? And most of the time, it's somebody else, right? Oh, well, now that I've helped myself, I want to help my mom, or I want to help my dad, or I want to help my brothers and sisters, or now that I helped all them, that's why you have all these philanthropists, right? Like that are helping more like outside of their circle.
Because they're like billionaires. And it's like, what do you do with all that money?
Yeah.
There's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
There's only so many islands you can buy.
I mean, I'll take an island, one or two. But that being said, going back to the life insurance, right, is that it's always for somebody else. So you need to start thinking about like that. Like, don't just think, oh, I can't feel it. It's a waste of money. It's not, how's that benefiting me right now? Well,
even if you were to budget right now, right, and I'm talking about somebody probably really young here. Even if you were to budget $50 a month, you spend $50 a month on stupid stuff you probably don't even need.
Yeah.
There's subscriptions for God knows how many things you don't need and use. If you were to budget that amount a month for life insurance, it would pay off. I mean, you wouldn't even think about it if you were just to put that money away and put it to where it's automatically taken out. Yeah. And just don't even think about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You would be set if something happened to you, and things and families would be taken care of, and the amount of interest it would occur too, because you're young. You want to start it when you're young.
Yeah. You know? And well, here's the thing when you're young. Okay. Cause I'm a guilty of this. Here's the thing when you're young, you haven't experienced a lot. I mean, you don't get me wrong. I'm not taking away from you guys that are young that have experienced losses at a very young age or like, but as you get older, guess what? You start thinking, oh crap, that person passed. Oh no, that person passed. Oh no, I have family members. And then then you start thinking crap, because as you get older, obviously more people are going to pass because you're getting older, and the people that you thought were older than you are passing, and the people. So when you're younger, you really don't think about that because maybe
you think you're immortal, like you're not going to ever die.
We've been watching too much Twilight.
Yeah. Like you're not a vampire. Okay?
I love those series, by the way, those Twilight series. But when you're younger, you just don't think about it. But when you're younger, it's never going to be more. It's never going to be as cheap as, I hate to say cheap, as inexpensive as it is around that time. So if you're in your 20s, start thinking about something, because think about it. If you pass, you don't have a savings account, probably. You don't have a career just yet. Maybe you do. Some of you guys are super young and successful. Awesome. Kudos to you. But do you have a savings account for your funeral? Do you have a savings account to pay your plot, your all that stuff? Have you thought about that? Probably not, right? You have a savings account for a rainy day, if your car breaks down, if you lose your job and you can't pay your bills, all that stuff. But you haven't thought about if something happens to you, who's going to pay that? Probably your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, somebody that's next in line.
We see that. We talked about, like, the cancer policies, and, Desiree brought it up. She's like, why would you get one of those? Well, if it runs in your family and that's something that you fear, or, somebody close to you. And so you might get that before you even find out. So I told her, it's kind of like when, it happens a lot. We see it all the time. People have to do the plates. They have to sell plates for funeral to raise money for funeral. Yeah. And it's like, I get it, but you want to be proactive about all of these things and help those people so they're not as stressed out, because it's already horrible that you had to lose this person, all the stress that comes along with it. I told my girls, I was very specific. I said, look, when I die, don't let those people try to sell you all these big flower things. I don't want any of that crap. I don't want any of it. I know how they are, because they're going to try to sell you all these. Oh, well, they would have really loved it. And don't you want to do? No. I don't want all that foo-fa. Like, I just want something very simple. That's and just very simple. I don't want anything too crazy.
That makes sense.
Less is better. Classy.
Well, you need to, it's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to put it on paper. So right now, Carmenza and I are actually in the process of working on a living revocable trust. And because we have assets, we have life insurance, we have stuff, right? That we don't want it to go nowhere if we pass. So we have to be specific on where that stuff's going to go. The business. Where's the business going to go?
Hey, you could leave it all to Mila, right?
Yeah.
I've seen it happen.
No, seriously. Did you know that you can?
Absolutely. I've seen it happen. Millions of dollars left to their animals, beloved animals. Have you noticed it's never cats? I don't mean to
cats are
offend any,
jerks.
I don't mean to offend any cat people out there, but it's always dogs.
Because cats are like, get that out of here. Get that. I don't want it. I don't want it. But when you set these things up, you have, like, I'm learning just because we're going through it right now. Like, damn, we have to be specific. Like, we're like lining. Okay, where do we want? They call it residue. So, okay, so think about your house, right?
Uh-huh.
You're in your house, and all the things, your kitchen chairs, your kitchen table, your TV stand, your frames, your all that's called residue.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
I remember when I moved out, I didn't have anything, and now I have so much.
You're like, Mom, you're getting all my residue.
That sounds so horrible.
Well, that's what they call it. I mean, again,
the legal term.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll have to pull out the paper, but from what I saw in the paper, and the attorney that's helping us is actually really, really good. I wonder if I don't know if she'd have time, but maybe get her on a Zoom call for 10 minutes just to go over these items, because that's good for anybody, whether you're 65 and up or 65 and under, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Thinking about these things, it gets emotional, because I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm not a crier, but I was like and I know we were getting emotional talking about it, because it's like, okay, well, if I go first, then you get, and then it's like, well, no, because then that would really suck, because then I wouldn't be able to work, or you know what I mean? Like, so you have to think about that kind of stuff. And so when we were lining it out, it was getting very emotional. And that's why a lot of people don't want to do it, because it gets emotional. They start crying. And it's like, if you're just joining in, we were talking about setting up a living revocable trust and wills and living wills and power of attorneys. I mean, we're getting all that set up. I mean, you have to talk about specifics, like, okay, if I get in a car wreck or plane something and I'm incapacitated, how long do I want to live before you pull the plug?
I can just imagine, like, your table's set up with all these different scenarios and all these maps and all these things. Like, if I do this way, I mean, it's crazy, but it's true.
And everybody has their different. So I was like, okay, babe, where do you want to be, like, buried? Or like, we're all, do you want an open casket? Do you want no casket? Do you want a big thing? Do you want a little thing? Like, all that stuff. And it's interesting, because then you start learning, oh, wow, I didn't think about that. Or, oh, I would have thought you wanted this instead of that.
Lorenzo wants to be cremated. And then he still wants a casket. Which I'm like, or a wooden box. And I'm like, that's a waste of money.
Put me in a humidor.
Why do you want if you're going to be cremated? Anyways, that's what he said. And then he wants to be scattered in the ocean. I was like, no, you're staying with me forever.
Wait a minute. Oh, so you
die first, you're going to stay with me.
You want the best of both worlds. So you want a little bit of your ashes. So that's what he wants, a little bit of ashes buried.
No, he just wants the presentation.
Oh my gosh.
A casket.
Well, people do that. So people, obviously, they do the wake or whatever, not the wake, the rosaries, whatever people call them, with the open casket and all that stuff. And then, and then they, of course, cremate you.
Pine box. He was very specific.
Oh, okay.
And then he wants you to scatter his ashes. And I said, no, I'm not scattering your ashes. You're going to stay with me forever. If you die first, there's no way I'm scattering you in the ocean.
Yeah.
How am I going to?
She's gonna be having.
I'm literally gonna walk around with him everywhere.
Lorenzo, no, I said don't do that.
I said don't do that. Why are you still doing that?
Why are you talking to me like that?
I just can't. Yeah, it gets hard, I'm sure.
It gets hard to talk about it, but it has to be done. So if you haven't done that already, we recommend to start thinking about this stuff, regardless of your age, especially when you start having assets. Your house, your cars that you have, cars, if it's paid off, it's an asset. It's no longer, you're still paying
jewelry,
on it. Jewelry,
watches.
Yes, I already assigned my watch collection to my brothers, FYI brothers. If they don't listen.
You lucky.
Yeah, lucky dogs. So I was like, guitars. I'm like, well, where do I want my guitars to go? Like, we were just thinking about that. Like but it was good, because you know what it made us do? Excuse me. It made us appreciate everything that we have. We're like, oh wow, we have a lot. Like we have, I mean, if you think about it, we have everything we need. We have, and so, but anyway, I was just bringing that up. It gets kind of emotional when you talk about that stuff. But
No, it's good combo. People need to hear this.
Yeah.
People need to hear this. This is really good stuff. Starting with your life insurance policy. Make a decision to get one because you don't want your family to have to be selling barbecue plates when you pass away. You know, it's a small sacrifice that will pay off. Even if you do a very small policy, a final expense policy, it's not going to run you hundreds of dollars a month, you know. Do something that you know that you're like, if I go without this monthly, I'm not going to go broke. It's not going to hurt me. Something's better than nothing. I think that it's very important that we talk about these things. People don't talk about it because it's so morbid, it's so depressing, but it's like, yo, we're not going to be here forever. Like, if one thing's guaranteed in life is that we're all going to die. It sounds depressing and sad, but it's true.
Unless they like really get into like stem cells and like what's that, cryogenics? Or not cryogenics, cryogenics,
like
right?
They freeze you in your head and all this stuff.
Oh, yeah. I've seen documentaries about that.
Yeah. So other than that, like, protect your family. Don't make it harder for them.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think, well, and too, because there's a lot of slimy, like, life insurance people out there. Don't be those people. Hey, I want to invite you for dinner. By the way, family, here's what I do. And like, don't do that. Like, let people know what you do. Like, don't be, that's why, like, I feel like a lot of people don't buy it because there's so much like scammy, like, people out there that don't know how to like actually solve problems. They're just selling and they're looking for their bottom line, where I don't care if you buy from me or not, like, buy from somebody, whether it's me, your agent, whatever, but get something rather than nothing. I mean, I've had life insurance since I was young. But you know, my situation changes. So you add more, you take some away, whatever, like you change it. But you want to do it soon. And
bring up about the employer thing too. Like, people think that if they have one through their job.
Yeah. So even for Carmenza, so like, okay, Carmenza's like a CPA. She's like, she knows her stuff. And when we met, when we started actually like, okay, we're going to get married. We actually got life insurance before we were married. We got life insurance before we were married. We were already engaged. If I'd never gotten a fight with her because I was really smart. I'm just joking, baby. But so we got it before, but I was like, she's like, well, why do I need to get it? I already have it through work. And I'm like, but no, like, did you know? Cause she works for a very very, very reputable corporate company where they do great benefits. But I was like, well, no, do you understand that if you were to ever leave, you don't get it? Like, you can't take it. Well, guess what? One of the big companies did layoffs. And what happened? They laid thousands of people off.
She
thousands.
Lost that policy. And
she had secured insurance already. So she was like, oh, wow. Like, I didn't know. Like, I didn't know that you just lose it like that. I said, yeah, you lose those, just like you lose your health insurance, you lose those benefits.
It's good to have, we have it, but it's also good to have additional coverage outside of the job, because those are actually, when you look at the cost of those, they're not very expensive. They're very, honestly, it's probably dollars. It's not a lot for a high amount. So, you know, it's good to have it, but it's also good to have it outside of your job. Because if you get laid off or you get fired or something happens, you still have that policy outside of your employment. So that's super important for sure.
So make sure that this little sucker here. So we don't want to harp on the life insurance thing for the whole day, but we definitely want to bring those subjects up because we like I said, if you're just joining in, we were setting up living revocable trust for me and my spouse. And, you know, we have to like think about who's going to execute it, luckily there's attorneys that can get involved and they help the family execute the things. And if you set up because we were just going to set up a will. And
that's what I was just going to ask you. What's the difference between a
revocable? With the living revocable trust, if you ever need to make changes to it. So like, let's just say we buy a beach house in Playa del Carmen, you know, or an island, like you said, we can always add those things later or take away. Or maybe you get pissed at a family member and you're like, you don't want Uncle Ray to do whatever, you know. So
Uncle Ray, you will not get my guitars anymore. You made me mad at Christmas.
So little things like that where you know, you want to the wonder. Can you tell them more about that, or just I'm gonna plug us in.
Oh, we got unplugged.
Yeah, we got unplugged.
Oh, okay.
Or just the battery, so you could talk about.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I was going to ask you about that. What was the difference about the revocable? So you can make changes while you're still alive, and when you have a will, like a regular will, you're not able to make those changes as easily. Is that what it is?
Yeah. So when you have a will, it's not like it's a legal document, but I'm not an attorney, so I can't really tell you, but she says, no, you guys need a living revocable
Get
trust.
your own attorney, people.
Yeah.
We're not attorneys.
Yeah, I'm not an attorney. So, and I'm just learning this stuff. So that's what I'm saying. I think I might have somebody, she was really good. Like, and within 10 minutes, I learned like a lot. I was like,
She was very thorough.
yes, very. I was like, whoa. And she even bought it. Well, I said, well, we don't have kids. She said, oh, well, that's going to be very easy. I said, but this sounds kind of silly. I said, we do have our dog. And, you know, we want, if whoever she goes to, we want to make sure that she has the best food, the best care. If they need to go out of town, she's in a good, like, little doggy hotel. Like, we don't want her being in a kennel, because we left her in a kennel one time and it was horrific for her. She came back with like freaking a cough.
So
She was
have you
like,
decided who you're going to leave your child to?
yeah. I'm not going to say it here because I don't want anybody like, what the heck?
Why didn't I get Mila?
Everybody knows my mom is going to get Mila. Even though my mom probably doesn't want a dog. She's going to have to. And then, of course, you know, because she loves my mom and like she loves all my family, but it's just, you know, I think she'd be comfortable.
Mhm.
And I think it would be a good, memorable, like, oh, that's
her
a
to
part
have
of
something
me.
of
Yeah.
y'all.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but anyway, so the attorney had said that they could set that up to where they have a specific trust for certain things, and whoever's in charge of Mila would be in charge of, just like a kid, just like a trust fund for a kid, but you can have it specifically for, and I'm sure it's not in the dog's name, but it's like, it's specifically for that. And that's where you lay out everything in the will. So there's a lot. It's a lot. So it is a process. I mean, it's like a 30-day process, because you have to, like, of course, we're pretty easy because we make decisions pretty quick, and we don't have like kids. So it's not like, well, who would our kids go to it, and where college and this and that, like setting up all that. For us, it's just like, okay, who's getting our stuff?
Well, we've already told my sister, she knows this. My sister's going to get my kids. And then, of course, if Brooks,
she's like, oh no, oh no, oh
no. Of course, if Brooke's older, she said she would take care of the good girls.
Oh,
She'd take care of her sisters.
Yeah.
So I feel like that would be, but yes, no, that's very important.
That's
because it gets so people think, oh no, we won't fight over money, or no, we won't fight over this, but it gets ugly. And so it's better when these things are in place and you're like, this is the way it's going to be. This is what we're going to do. And this is how they wanted it. And we can't do nothing about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think it's a good topic, because if you want to get your Christmas gift for anybody, get them a policy.
Yeah.
But like, it's kind of
be
morbid,
nice to them so that they leave you in their will.
Yeah. I used to have clients that would tell me like, Mija, I don't really have any kids. And, you know, like if something, and of course they didn't have much, but they like, I want to leave this, you know, to somebody. And so I'd be like, oh yeah, if you ever need me, you know, but I would always tell them, call your kids, you know, like let them know. And she was like, they only come for money. They only call me when they need money. So anyway, don't be that kid. Be nice to your mom and your dad. Only if they're nice to you.
That's true.
So if you're just joining in, or if you're rewatching this on YouTube, just the importance of being prepared for those final things, you know, because unfortunately, I have been to a lot of funerals, and I've seen family members get pulled apart. I've seen, you know, things happen, and it's just, it takes about probably a couple of weeks out of your time, because you're getting everything set up and you're talking to people, but it makes so much sense to get it set up, because 2 weeks out of your life will leave a lifetime of peace for the people that your loved ones when you move on. So, and if you don't know where to start, like we were lucky because Carmenza has, through her job, she has benefits where she has access to like lawyers and stuff like that. And so she was like, hey, we really need to get this set up. And so she executes things. Like I'm a decision, like I make quick decisions, but she's the one that executes on things like, okay, we need to get a will set up. So she's doing all that, where I'm a procrastinator. I'm like I don't want to, I don't want to.
I know you say we were going to do this, but I don't want to do it right now.
So it's just good to get all that set up. Hello for everybody that's joining in today. And I can't see, I probably need to like move my screen closer so I can actually see. I thought I was going to be able to see from here. Can you see?
I think it's Jack.
So it's just, like I said, we were just talking about setting up living, revocable trust, things like that. So for those of you guys that listening right now, or just you came in late, you want to rewatch, go to YouTube, subscribe, or you can even do it on Facebook. Facebook it replays the information too. But I mean, I think that's a good I think it's a great topic to talk about, because not a lot of people have this stuff set up. If I were to ask everybody in this office, they'll say no.
I would say no. I have a piece of paper I gave to my sister when Lorenzo and I, was the first time we were away from the girls for more than a day. We flew to New York, and it was a piece of paper that I basically said that if something happened to us, my house and everything would go to my sister, and then she would execute whatever, and she would get my daughters. Yeah. And that was about the extent of that.
You need to get something set up, because that's technically not a legal document.
It's not, because it wasn't even notarized.
Yeah, it needs to be notarized. And the witness cannot be
a family member.
Yeah. But no, it is not cheap. I mean, it's kind of pricey. I'll say that. But what we're trying to do, it is pricey. But and we didn't really shop around. We were like, boom, we'll take that one and good to go. And a lot of it was covered through Carmen's work. So I could see why people don't do it, because it is a little pricier than what it, I don't know how much.
I think you're right. I think it would be a really good idea to see if we could get that lawyer.
Yeah.
A lawyer to come on and ask those kinds of things. So like, for example, if somebody can't afford something like that, like the process that you're doing, would they be able to maybe make a video and say, hey, today's date, I'm of sound mind and I'm leaving such and such things to this such and such person. And that video stays locked up with somebody else other than family members. And that video is delivered on the day they pass. Is that something that they can do? Is that legal? Can people contest it? Can they fight it? Asking those kinds of things and seeing if that's, if that's acceptable.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things.
At least because like right now we are in Christmas. So we're like, no, I'm gonna buy me some Christmas gifts. But I would start thinking about it for the new year. At the very least, start thinking about it for the new year. So that way you have something set up. If you do, like if you feel like, well, I really don't have anything to give to my family when I'm pass away, well, you kind of do have a debt hanging, unless you have like a funeral plot paid for, or the what do you call it, the headstone already paid for. Is that the plot?
No, the plot and the headstone are separate.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, then you got to still pay to dig the hole. I mean, there's a lot of costs. I would challenge you to go to a funeral. Well, don't go to a funeral home, because they're probably going to sell you a pre-need policy. Because last time I went to a funeral home and they were like, and we could get this and that. And
you can take me and I'll be like, we don't need that. No, we don't need that.
You're not going to have a very cheery funeral if you take Adriana, because she's like, no to flowers, no to this, no to that.
We don't even need a casket. I think it'll be fine. We just lay the body out there like that. Just throw it in the dirt.
Yikes. That sounds like a creepy, scary movie.
From dust we came, to dust we will return.
I never see.
It's from the Bible. It's like a verse.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
I kind of skipped around. When I was in children's church, I feel so bad, and this stays with me till this day.
Why? Because you didn't listen?
No, because there was a and I'm probably gonna go to HE double toothpicks for this one. So in children's church, I think I was probably about 10 at that time, maybe 7, I don't know. And they said, if you read so many books in the Bible from like Genesis on or whatever, right, you will win a trip to Fiesta, Texas. Or it was one of the theme parks I was open at that time. Okay. I think it was Fiesta, Texas. And so I'm very good. I'm very good at like skimming and
getting the gist of it.
telling you the quick bits, right? Like the Cliff's notes, the meats that you need to know. But I know how to present it if I just skim through it, right? Just like we were talking about bold keywords yesterday. People lose attention. They only look at the bold words. Well, I kind of won. And I didn't read all the books. So it could have been in one of those books that I kind of skimmed through.
That's funny. Well, I mean, come on. They're asking 7 and 10-year-olds to do that. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, how honest did they think that y'all were going to be?
Well, to read the Bible.
Is it because y'all were in the Bible and they're like, if you lie, God is going to strike you?
No, they didn't put the fear of God in us, but they did say,
and you're on the honor system.
But here's how I don't do that anymore, because like I'm always my worst punisher.
I'm the same way too. I couldn't kill somebody. I would tell them myself. I couldn't steal anything. I would tell them myself. I do something. I tell them myself. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Now I feel my conscience will eat away at me. I'm the same way too.
Yeah. So I don't know. I live with that till this day.
And she's confessed.
And I almost stole a big hunk from the store one time, but I didn't.
A big hunk?
A big hunk. Remember those big hunks?
Oh my gosh. They were the brown ones. They were like that big. They don't even sell those anymore.
They were, it was like the little white taffy with the little nuts in them. You didn't like those? Man, those were my favorite back then. I probably won't. Hey, Jack, I'm trying to read it says I'm doing something that I can't connect. Thanks for the topic. I can't see the little lettering there, but we definitely will respond to you. If you have questions, let us know. We'd be happy to answer them. I don't know if there's a question in there, but thank you for joining us today. But yeah, so I always feel bad when I do things like that. When I was little, now I don't. And we would get spanked. Like, we would get spanked if we got caught something doing bad. Like if we got bad grades, that was old school.
Yeah.
And not like now where kids will call the freaking CPS on you or whatever. That's so crazy, right? Kids crazy. Calling CPS on their own parents. I mean, there's a time there is, you can't take it too far, like, but a good spanking.
This isn't funny, but I think it's kind of funny. There was a video I saw the other day of a lady. There was these 2 cops and they were holding this girl down. This lady was spanking this girl at the belt. It's like, what the? This is the kind of help I need right here.
Yeah.
I'll come home. No, I guess they got in trouble for it, but I'm just like,
well, you're
right. There's no,
it's just like, I'm going to take away your phone.
And there's a very thin line between like spanking and then there's like just straight up you're abusing your children. Obviously that's different, right? But like a spank on the butt, like I remember like we did the wrong thing, we'd get spanked.
Yeah.
My dad would just have to like whip out his belt and the sound of the belt would just terrify us and we'd be like, okay, we're gonna stop what we're doing. Like,
yeah, no, we would have to. My dad had this like, it would look like a key hold, when you have your key rack or you hang your keys. It looked like that, but it hung his belt. So he had his cowboy belt, the thin belt, which I hated the thin belt because those thin belts,
they hurt more,
sting, right? And then you have like all his other belts and he'd be like, okay, go get the belt. And I'm like, damn it.
We come from a generation that these kids don't understand. They like, I remember when we went to Mexico, we would go during the summer. They'd be like, go get a switch they would make you go pick out your own weapon.
Oh, the old switcheroony
to spank you with. And it's like, well, I'm going to pick you think picking the smallest one was no, those would actually hurt more than the thick ones. And I'm like, damn, this hurts. Why?
Oh, and then it'd break. I'd be like finding all the dead ones, like where are the dead branches?
I'm just like, y'all don't even get it. And but you know what? I will say, I'm very thankful, for the discipline and not the spanking, but the discipline that I got because it made me a very disciplined adult. Like I'm yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Kind of person. Like my 4-year-old says, yes, ma'am. I'm like, what did you say? She's yes, ma'am. I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Opening the door for people. Don't putting your elbows on the table when you're eating. When you're a lady, you put your hand on, you're only eating with one hand and you're eating so I'm very thankful for the discipline that my parents gave me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I try to pass that along to my kids because I'm just like, no, you're not going to be those sloppy kids that don't care.
Yeah.
It looks bad.
Well, I mean, luckily we were all, me and my sisters and brothers were all raised like the same. So like we're all the kids, like all of our nieces and nephews are really good. Like they all listen. Sometimes you got to tell them twice, but like they listen.
I can't say the same for my 4-year-old. She
No?
threw her tablet down the stairs yesterday.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. And I was like, oh, no, you're not getting it back. I just bought you this tablet. The second one.
Oh, my gosh. She threw that tablet.
The brand new one that I just got her. She threw it down the stairs.
Why don't y'all buy those?
It does. It has one of those little cases things on there. And I was like, no, you're not getting it back. I'm not giving it back to you. So,
yeah, that would have been a spanking moment.
Yeah, I was like,
but I don't know. I say that, and I'm like with Mila. Well, Mila's a dog. She can't talk, so it's like, it's hard, kind of hard. It's like, but then I talk all this crap, but I probably would not. I don't know how, but I don't know because with my nieces and nephews, I'm pretty tough.
I feel like there's always in any relationship when you have a child that includes a dog, because that's your mom dog. You have the person who's like the bad guy.
Dog mom, you mean?
Dog mom, yeah. Mom, dog,
I'm a mom dog.
And you have the one that's like the good guy, right? So I'm the bad guy. I'm always the bad guy. Lorenzo's the good guy. I'm the yeller. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? Don't be doing that. And he's like, okay, girls, don't do that. Like, listen to your mom,
I'm trying to think if I'm the bad guy or the good guy.
I don't know.
Because like Carmenza's always like, okay, if Mila, like, when she gets mad at us when we haven't been home all day, or like we've got mad at her the day before, she has a habit of getting on the coffee table and taking the what do you call those little
centerpiece? Like you have a centerpiece?
No, the cup holders or the cup
coasters.
Coasters. Okay. And we had gotten some coasters from Paris, like when we had first went a few years back, and she has them there. Well, she's already chewed up not one but two of them. So of course, Carmenza is like, don't, Mila, really go to your bed. No, like they have more like that mom-daughter relationship where they're like, really, you're gonna do that? Really?
I think that's me with the girls because we have daughters.
And I'm like, okay, Mila, you need to listen to your mom. So I think maybe I'm the good cop sometimes, but then sometimes I am when I need to be. Because
you got to back her up, because just like dogs, kids are smart.
Yeah,
and they know. They'll know they can. They're like, oh, I can use this against them.
Yes.
So
yeah.
And
she does this. She doesn't even. She already knows. She goes to her bed and she's like, she looks at me and I'm like, I'm sorry. You should not got your mom mad. Because I'm like, well, we should just move the coasters somewhere higher so that way she doesn't get them when we leave, because obviously she's going to be mad at us.
Let me guess what Carmenza says. No, she needs to learn not to touch them.
Well, she'll say something like that, but then she'll like still put them.
Because I would be the same way too. I'm like, oh, no, we're not moving that. This is where it belongs. It's going to live here forever. They need to learn not to touch that. I'm like, no. Like, so when the girls were little, we, before Madison came into the picture, we had a white couch, beautiful couch. We still have it. It's upstairs now in the loft. It's dirty. And it was clean. It stayed clean. And my brother-in-law would be like, Adriana, how do you keep your couch so clean with these girls? I'm like, they know better. They don't eat on the couch. They don't put their feet on the couch. They don't, it's clean. Madison came along. No. The couch was never the same again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. My sister had some white couches for a long time with 4, well, they were newborns. I mean, through her kids. So like toddler, 2 newborn twins, or a set of newborn twins. And then, yeah, over time, she was like, yeah. I mean, she didn't get new couches though until they were out of the stage of riding on everything. One time she had bought these beautiful, like, cloth, like, when you recliner chairs, very, very nice chairs. And one day when I came to visit, I look and I'm like, what happened to that chair? And all you see are all these markers, like lines on them. And I was like, what did they? She's like, Ella. I'm like, no, ma'am. Ella could talk. Like, she could actually like talk, like, like with you, have a conversation. She is too old to be riding like a little infant on chairs. But yeah, so that's why she's like, I don't even like to get nice stuff because they're just going to ruin it.
That's where I'm at right now. I'm at the stage where I don't buy anything too expensive. And the couch that we bought when we moved to our new house a couple years ago, it's like a gray, dark brown couch.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite couch, but I was like, I need to get a couch where if they dirty it or they stain it or something happens, it doesn't show as much.
Yeah.
But I also invested recently. Desiree makes fun of me all the time. And a thing to clean carpet stains and things. And she's like, "Damn, Adriana, that thing's attached to you." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm using it every single day. Wow. I don't like things dirty. It works."
Yeah, that's
anybody's interested.
Huh. That might be something. Well, we don't have a lot. I mean,
and it help, and so they sell like the formula for it, but it's like supposed to remove like dirt, pet stains, wine.
Okay, maybe the wine thing.
And it's one of those things. Have y'all seen the videos where the carpets are super dirty and you see that thing sucking all the dirt up? It's one of those. Yeah, it's a little one.
Yeah, well,
so it's pretty cool.
That's cool. Well, I mean, we talked about a lot today. So we talked about, what did we talk about? ACA deadlines,
life insurance.
We talked about getting your life insurance set up. We talked about getting a living revocable trust or will. We talked about spanking your kids. We talked about cleaning dirty couches. Residue. We talked about a lot today. When you join us when you go watch the shows on YouTube or on Facebook, make sure you like our page. If you do like the show, like our page. And then go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel, because that actually helps the channel. And that actually helps when you subscribe. It actually helps people see the show more. And so every time you guys join us, every time you guys, like our pages and show support on the show, it shows it to more people, which we're very, very excited about. I think I talked to a couple of people already, and for next year, they're going to be lined up to talk about a few different things. So I'm really excited about that. Now, before we end the show, we have about 10 more minutes here. Before we end the show, have you seen anything come up this week? Because getting back to Medicare stuff, have you seen anything this week that people are having issues with, as far as like not getting their cards or anything like that? Or has it been pretty smooth process?
No, just I had a calls about, people making changes to their plans, and, the same old, like people not being educated on certain things and processes. And, we're here to help, and just know that we have your best interests at heart. So we're really, really doing what we can to help you out. And everybody might not have that. So when you make changes and things like that, we talked about it last time, we can't help you. We can't be your agents if somebody else helped you out. So it's one of those things that kind of just walking people through the process and being like, look, if somebody tells you something better, give us a call. We work with all of the carriers. We can look at everything for you. And trusting that we're giving you the right advice, because we really are.
And at the end of the day, what Adriana said, I mean, we try to have your best interest at heart when it comes to the plans that you're choosing, and walking through the process of Medicare, walking through the process of plan changes, walking through the process of going over your medications. There's only so much we can help with, but we do have a lot of resources that we can put you in touch with. Next year, we are going to be more out in the community here and there. So we're going to see if we could take the show on the road.
Yes.
That'd be cool,
that
right?
That would be fun.
We'll figure it out somehow, some way. We'll figure it out. But do you want to add anything more to our audience before we leave the show today?
No, just that. I really didn't have any other issues about cards or anything like that. The really good thing about it is that, my clients will call me and ask me, and I'll tell them, and they feel reassured. They feel fine, good. They leave the call feeling okay. Even those people that aren't our clients, I've talked to them. I had a guy who was like, "Thank you so much. I didn't know any of this. I feel a lot better getting off this call with you. I was really stressed out. I was really anxious about a lot of things, the whole Medicare process. And just thank you for going over that information with me."
Yeah. And just know, if you did sign up for a Medicare plan, keep in mind that, especially if you did it like last week or this week, your card, it could take about 7 to 10 days to come in. So things like that, make sure you call your agent. If you don't have somebody like a resource or an agent, you can call our hotline or our toll-free number, 866-717-8683. If you just joined in, you can go watch the show on YouTube. It uploads automatically on Facebook and YouTube. We were talking about living revocable trust. We were talking about life insurance. We were talking about setting up your wills. We were talking about ACA. We talked a lot about a lot today about a lot of stuff. But the most important part is I think I want to bring somebody on. If you are listening and you have a lot of knowledge, now I'm not talking about a little bit. I'm talking about a lot of knowledge.
Not a little bit, but a lot.
Not a little bit, but a lot. About living revocable trust. If I can't get the attorney on that we work with, I might get somebody else locally that can come on. Good morning, Imelda. To talk about these things and just provide free information as much as they can without where it becomes a consult.
They're going to give a little bit of the pie, not the whole pie. Just a little slice.
They're just going to give a little slice of the pecan pie.
Yeah, so that way you can make a decision whether that's something that you want to go forward with.
Yeah. And you know what? If you are listening and you're not an attorney and you're not, it doesn't matter. And you don't, maybe you have this stuff set up already. Start harping on your family to get that stuff set up. So I bet you anything, Adriana is going to call her family and be like, do we have this set up? And they're going to be like, why? What's going on?
What do you want?
What do you have up your sleeve?
Everything. I'm just kidding. So.
And it's the little things, because I'll tell you what, when my grandma passed, she had stuff, like not valuable stuff. It was just like she had this thing of, what's that? The Last Supper was like, and then she had another like plate of like a picture of butterflies that my grandpa had got, like little things like that. And people were like getting pissed about it.
They wanted them.
And so you have to be specific in like, okay, my shoes, my perfumes, my clothes. My sisters probably don't even want that, but they're going to get it. It's called residue.
You're going to get all of my residue.
You're going to get all of my residue. It sounds, they should have named it something different, but it makes total sense to me. Residue, right?
Yeah.
The residue, the stuff.
I guess it makes sense if you want to get all philosophical and emotional about it. Like, we're here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we don't come into this world with absolutely nothing, right? And we leave residue. So all the stuff that you're leaving is the stuff that it's a residue of who you are.
Yeah. It's,
homie, I always get philosophical.
She always gives little snippets or little tidbits. Little. Good morning, Claudia. Oh, she says she's like, Adriana's getting my kid.
Yeah. So guess where this happened? This conversation we got. So she had been sick for a while, and so we finally had got the chance to go out. So we went to Rebecca Creek, our favorite place.
Oh.
And we're sitting there at the picnic table, and she's like, "Okay, guys, me and Lorenzo are there," and she's like, "We're just letting you know that we're gonna leave Emma to you all."
Was this after like how many drinks?
I think it was just like maybe 2. It wasn't, they hadn't set in yet.
2 very strong drinks.
Yeah. So no, of course I would gladly take her.
Yeah.
She was my only niece. Now we have 2 girls, other girls besides mine in the family. But I told her I would. Of course I would. My daughters, they're her sisters. That's what she says. She's like, they're your sisters. You have to be nice.
Yeah. I would. Well, I don't know if my sisters would leave the kid. They'd probably be like not doing it because they think it would be a burden on me. But I'm like, why? I love kids. I just don't want to have any.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. I've told you that. People think that just because you get married and you're a girl, you got to have kids. And it's like, no, it doesn't work that way. Everybody doesn't want to have kids.
I love my dog and I love my nieces and nephews. But guess what? The nieces and nephews,
you have them for a little bit and you send back.
You get the love that you need. And then you come back to a peaceful. I'll be honest, though, when my family comes up like that, then the house is like super full. Like I'm talking full. When they leave, even we're like, man, it's so like quiet. Like it's so weird now. It takes a little bit of like weaning off the noise because you're so used to like the kids screaming and running up and down the stairs and out there splashing in the pool and we're all just hanging out. And then it's like, whoa, this is weird. It just went silent for like really, really silent.
Well, I like I told you when I met you, it's funny because I've never been that kind of person, and I have 3 kids. I've never been that kind of girl or woman who's been like, you don't want to have kids? You should have kids. You should have kids. Like if you told me you don't want to have kids, I'd be like, cool, don't have kids.
Yeah.
Good for you. Let me live vicariously through you. What are you doing this weekend?
What are you doing?
Yeah, no, I think I don't think they're for everybody. And, it is what it is. You get to enjoy your nieces and nephews, and then you get to send them back.
Well, this show was just to make you be aware of like getting that stuff set up. Not to be morbid and not to be all Debbie Downer on a Friday, because it is Friday. Oh, guess what? Where I'm going? I'm going to make it a little more sunshiny today.
Where are you going?
We're going to go to the Trans-Siberian.
Oh, she got them.
Orchestra.
Yay.
Oh, and by the way, wow, guys. Okay, so last night a friend of ours bought us tickets to, it was the Vandaliers. And I was not expecting to see this other band because we went specifically to see the Vandaliers, and it was over there on floors. Mm-hmm. And there was a band called the Last Bandoleros, the ones that you were mentioning. I was like, oh, never heard of them. They are so good live. I was like, wow. Like, we were like very, very impressed. And even Carmen's like, babe, if they come, like, we're going again. Like,
yeah. So they're, remember telling, they're Emilio Navaita's sons, the band, the two
of them. Yeah, that's cool. Mm-hmm. They were really, really good. And surprisingly, really great live. Because, there's some bands that are good on like the CD that shows my age, but the tape.
They're all on the 8-track.
It's on the 8-track. Some bands are good like through like the radio or your Bose systems, but they were genuinely good live. Like, I was like, wow, this is really, really good. Both bands I loved. We had a really great time last night. We had fun. Now tonight we're going to be going to the Trans-Siberian.
My God, Orchestra. You're like on a tour of tours.
And then guess where we're going Saturday?
Where?
Ice skating.
Oh my God. You're going to have to take video for everybody so they can see it.
Well, I'm going to be like Brian Boitano.
What the heck is that?
Brian Boitano. You don't know who Brian Boitano is? That was far past your age.
Was he a figure skater?
I believe Brian.
Okay, because I know Christy Yamaguchi. Christy
Yamaguchi was around the time kind of Brian Boitano was like the thing, like a little bit before, I believe.
Okay.
And then that's when the other ones came, I believe. What's her name? The one that hit the other girl with the
Tanya
Harding.
Yes.
And then the other one. What's her freaking name?
I don't even know.
Anyway, so yes, we're gonna see
So you're gonna be like Brian Boitano.
I'm gonna be like Brian Boitano. Look out, San Antonio.
Oh, God. So we took the girls ice skating one time, and that was fun.
Yeah,
it was fun. I only fell one time.
You get a little workout, like picking people up off the ice and stuff like that, which is really interesting because we're in Texas, San Antonio, for those of you that are watching in other states. And hopefully it is cold that day because I want to get the vibe, like I want to be in a
When are you going?
Saturday evening around 5-ish.
I think it's going to be cold. Let's see.
Yeah. So,
yeah, it's going to be, high is going to be 67.
That is not cold. It was supposed to be like 30 degrees.
It's cool compared to
it was
Texas weather.
The
70s and 80s.
Last time we looked at the weather, Carmenza said it was going to be 30 degrees.
It's going to be low of 40, high of 67.
Oh, okay.
So go early in the morning. So you can get the experience.
Wah, wah, wah. Wait,
get your coffee ready, girls.
Yeah, that's not fun.
Are you going to take Mila with you?
No. She'll be like,
Aww.
No, we're not going to take her. So yeah, tonight I'm really excited because I've never seen the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and we got the little sweet seats.
Oh, lucky dog.
Sweets.
Dang.
Maybe the Medicare Space will do a couple of those next year.
Though the tickets for those things are like expensive. I saw it. I priced them for good seats. I didn't want nosebleed.
Yeah, I can't do nosebleed because I'm afraid of heights.
I can't do it because
so I get like all like
the seats at the AT&T Center are like your like feet are right here and your head's like right there.
Yeah, it's not even like angled right. It's like angled like the incline is too. I got like I can't remember where. I think I went to the rodeo and we saw somebody. I can't remember who we saw, or maybe it was a Spurs game. But I was just like, oh my God. And of course, then you don't want to drink a beer because you're like, what?
I'm going to fall down the stairs.
And if you fall, it doesn't like, it feels like you're going to tip, not like just fall downstairs. It feels like you're going to go like forward.
No,
I can't do it.
Yeah. The last time we were there, we went to a Spurs game and we were in a suite. So we got to sit up at top. I got to take my daughter, Brooke. We'd never been to a basketball game before. My brother-in-law and my husband had gone before. My husband was my brother-in-law was very generous and took my husband to a Spurs game courtside seat.
Oh,
So they got to experience that.
nice.
But we got to sit up in the suite, and so like they serve you wine and you get food. So that was a really fun experience for my daughter and I to go do that. It was pretty cool.
Fancy.
Now I don't want to go any other way.
I know. That's the problem is once you get a taste of the good stuff, you get all bougie. You're like,
I do not want to sit there with those people.
So when I was younger, I loved going to like hardcore like rock concerts and stuff like that, and we would get in like
mosh pits,
the mosh pits. Right
now, it's Lorenzo's thing.
Now, yesterday, I was like, there was like like you could sit around like tables because it's like almost looked like a restaurant, but then the floor was open and people were standing, and I'm like, man, we are those people sitting down at a concert. But then eventually they were so good, we got up, like we stood up when we were dancing and stuff like that. But yeah, my mosh pit days are over. I just can't. It's not because I don't like being in the front. It's because I don't like being around sweaty people. Like,
but when you were younger, you didn't care. You were like, "Oh, screw that! I'm gonna mosh."
Yeah. And I didn't think about insurance and all that deductibles and stuff like that.
Ooh, what is this gonna cost me if I get hurt?
If I break something, it's gonna be expensive, right? So. Well, guys, we are already at the 11 o'clock hour. Thank you so much for joining in today. If you're watching on YouTube later, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for liking our page on Facebook. Thank you for doing all that. It really helps us out. We talked a lot about a lot, right?
Yeah,
a little bit. We talked a lot about a little bit.
Yes.
Or a little bit about a lot.
We spent a good chunk of time talking about the will.
Yeah. I think I really want to get somebody to explain the specifics, like the step-by-step 1, 2, 3, 4, on how to get that set up, because people, you know what? Like people are like, I know I need to do it, but where do I go? Like I have to go through the page, like Google who does it. And then it's like, how much is this going to cost? Or like, like people don't like to inquire if they don't have a good understanding of what it's really going to cost them.
It would be good for her to come on and give them just a little bit of information, what the cost would be, range. Obviously it's going to range somewhere depending on what you're wanting, but I think it'd be a good resource for us to provide to them, and then they'll be able to make that decision.
Yeah. So we're going to try to ask somebody to come on to talk about that. So thank you guys so much for joining in. If you have any questions, please let us know. If you have questions for us, you can call us at 866-717-8683. We always appreciate you guys joining in the show.
And sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. All right, guys, we will see you on the next